chickens.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled meeting of the President Board of Trustees, Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will County, held on Tuesday, January 7th, beginning at 6:59 p.m. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we're done. Will you please stay standing? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone, please stay standing.
Dear Heavenly Father, we'd like for you to remember and pray for the 14 victims of the attack in New Orleans. We'd also like to ask you to please give their families help and strength to get through this crisis, losing a brother, sister, uncle, friend, wife, son, daughter. We ask you, dear God, please give them strength to get through this horrible time of this devastating attack on America once again. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Present.
Trustee Mahoney?
Present.
Trustee Mueller?
Present.
Trustee Shaw?
Present.
Trustee Sullivan? Here. President Glass?
Present. Item 1, is there a motion to consider approval of the agenda?
I will make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Mayor Glatz, I'd like to make a superseding motion to table items 4 through 9 until the next village board meeting on the 21st of this month.
I'll second.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll on the
superseding motion.
superseding.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries.
Who
Are
seconded
there any
that?
questions?
Sorry.
I think Ken did.
Ken.
Thank you.
You need to be made wrong. Item 2,
But we need the roll for,
or the roll for the original one.
yep.
Madam Clerk, call the roll for the original.
Roll call for item 1. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 2, is there a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the regular village board meeting held on December 17th, 2024?
I'll make the motion.
I'll
I'll
second. Go ahead, Colleen.
Oh, I'll second.
Thank you.
Fighting over that.
Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 2. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Item 3, may I have a motion to consider approval of the consent agenda items?
So moved.
I will second.
Consent agenda items have been publicly posted and available for review on the agenda for this meeting. Would anyone from the board like any of these items removed from the consent agenda tonight? Let the record reflect none. Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Roll call for item 3. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Item number 10, Trustee Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion adopting Resolution 2025-R-002, authorizing a sales tax sharing agreement with Lenny's Gas and Wash at 183rd Street and LaGrange Road.
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Ken.
Thank you. This item authorizes a sales tax sharing agreement with Lenny's Gas and Wash at 183rd Street and LaGrange Road, not to exceed $1 million over a 10-year period. But for this sales tax sharing agreement, for the significant site improvements, including right-of-way work, a new traffic signal, all being completed by the developer, development of this project and potential additional development in the area would pose significant hardship. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Is there any public comment?
I think also this was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting preceding this.
Anyone would like to make public comment? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 10. Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you. Item 11, Trustee Brady.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I consider adopting ordinance 2025-0-002, amending the rules and regulations for the Village of Tinley Park Civil Service Commission.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. This item makes various amendments to the civil service rules and regulations to further improve efficiencies related to the hiring of patrol officers. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole prior to this meeting. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Any questions from the board? Comments from the public? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 11, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Item 12, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2025-0-001, amending Title 5, Chapter 50, along with Table 11 of the Table of Special Ordinances of the Village of Tinley Park Code of Ordinances regarding water and sewer charges.
Second it?
Go ahead.
The village periodically reviews and adjusts its utility rates to assure the water and sewer enterprise utility funds are producing adequate revenues to cover the operations, maintenance, and capital replacement needs of the utility. This ordinance implements the recommendations as well as performs needed maintenance of the Code of Ordinances relative to the water and sewer utilities. This ordinance is eligible for adoption tonight.
Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 12, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item 13, Trustee Michael Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2025-R-001, approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Tinley Park and the Village of Orland Park for water tower communications use.
I'll second it.
White?
Please consider approving signature of IGA with the Village of Orland Park for water tower communication use. This item was discussed at the committee of the whole held just prior to this meeting and is eligible for adoption tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Are there any comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call for item 13, Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
That motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next, we have item number 14, receive comments from the staff.
Yeah, I would just like to wish Chief Klatz a happy birthday tomorrow. So,
Dan?
thank you.
You're lucky we don't sing.
What do you
Happy
boy.
birthday to you.
What do you
can all
do for your
join me.
birthday, Steve?
Pizza.
Yeah,
No.
Thank you, everyone.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
that's it? Anyone else from the left table? How about the right table? Next, we have item 15, receive comments from the board. Anyone from the board care to comment?
Nothing, not today.
No?
You have to
Okay.
be kidding me.
No, sir.
Okay,
I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up in the village in 2025, so that's all I got.
cool. I guess I'll make a comment. Hold on. So the first page is 2.2, it's called the reporting. The manager, which is Michael Maloney, who's the manager of the Tinley Park Mental Health Center, is supposed to regularly report to the Park District Executive Director, his designee, progress of services of the project and problems encountered during such terms of this agreement, which he was not doing. A FOIA was submitted, and there was no responsive records. Then after this part of the, his employment agreement was sent back to them, then it was re-FOIA'd, and then magically, all these weekly reports came. Go to the next one. Here's what rounded off was $3,000 for the week. He looked at a bid review, documents, made a site visit, is actually not supposed to be making site visits. His contract states that Mike Maloney is supposed to be on site for 40 hours a week, but he decided to make a site visit. And then let us know electrical contractor was on site. Hopefully he was union, unlike what he did with the fences. So this, another week, sign installation continues. It doesn't talk about anything that he's actually doing, which I don't, you look at his reports, it doesn't look like he's doing anything. The benefits of living next to, was that Ruben Ecke? The one that's highlighted is George's Landscaping was the second contract that he was responsible for. Again, it was awarded to a union company, and then he allowed them to sub that to non-union companies. And then luckily, the iron workers got involved. They contacted, I believe it was Sean Roby, that they were gonna picket the site, and they would be out there with flying the rats against Maloney and the Park District. And then, sure enough, Hastings gets involved, but it's not even his project, so Hastings gets involved, called the iron workers. And then they removed the company, which was Naperville Contracting or something, a non-union company that the iron workers have been chasing. So they did all that non-union, so then they left, and then they actually brought back the union contractor that was originally awarded the contract. And this is kind of why a lot of us struggle with this, and why we're on here to stop this, the Friends of the Friend program. Next, Metra's on site. He didn't do anything. Next thing, next week, silt fence installation continues. Van Bruggen on site. Not a lot going on. That's $3,000. The next week, fence contractor on site again. Fence work continues, site visit with safety committee. Again, that's $3,000 that he's getting. So there's not a lot going on that he's actually doing, and a lot of the reports now that he writes, he just says that he's on site, he met someone on site. Well, he's technically supposed to be on site every single day, but he's not. And then he uses the Park District vehicle to go run personal errands during the day, which is not part of the contract. Then you go on again, go another page, one more. Again, this is just, he reviewed drawings. Well, he's reviewing Tetra Tech's Phase 2 study. Well, that's technically why they paid the hundreds of thousands of dollars with Tetra Tech, which is another issue. And what they did, the original contract, I forget the total, was like 60,000. What they do is they call it bid stringing. They've already awarded Tetra Tech an extra like $200,000 on top of the 60,000. So the way it works with bids, once you give a bid, you can't give that contractor more than 50% of the original bid without going back out to bid. So what they do is they call that bid stringing. So they just keep re-awarding. They've given them roughly 8 different amendments, Tetra Tech, of bids, which has been about 4 or 5 times the original amount, and they're only allowed 50%. So it appears to be Mike Maloney is bid stringing, which you probably learned from Hastings. The next one, again, just, he's not doing anything. That's why the project looks the way it does. Can you go to his check again? Last screen. Go back, one more. And so, yeah, so this was his March. This was $11,250 worth of work by Mike Maloney. You can see it in the right. MPM Consultant said he opened up just for this job as being a neighbor of Rubino. Overseeing contractors on site, site prep. There really wasn't anyone on site. They weren't doing anything roughly at that time. Present reports to the Tinley Park Park District Committee and boards. 11,000. There's not many people in the village that make $11,250 a week, or per month. So then after it was FOIA'd, there's this check to to his house, 17705 Harper Road, right next to Rubino's. Then the next check after you FOIA it, now they want to hide it because we brought it up that it looks like he's literally not doing anything. So now this is what you get from the Park District, project manager fees. In a bid, you have to describe, in an invoice, you have to describe work done, but since there isn't any work to describe that he's doing anything, so now they just give you this little sheet that says his management fees, which is another issue. And was just spent a good significant amount of time with an attorney from Bert Olson's office that's handling the Park District on a simple FOIA, asked for 4 simple requests. Every single thing was unduly burdensome. They don't produce any documents. And then I asked him how many pages per request. In the email, it said for items, I think it was 2 and 4, it was 358 pages. I asked if I could just have those 2 items. Then it became unduly burdensome. Then I asked to speak to the attorney. She was quite nice about it and explained that they just estimate. They don't really know how many pages. They say every email they multiply times 2, it's 2 pages. So if they said there was 200, they said there's 258 emails, which they're estimating would make it 516 pages, which is 16 pages past their number. So they won't get it. So I asked, well, then just give me one of the items. No, those are unduly burdensome too. So 4 items. I broke it down to just ask for one of the items, and they refused to give it, probably because it's pertaining to Mike Maloney and they don't want you to see his emails. It's a shame. So they said the only alternative is to go down the one item and basically like cut the request in half. I asked for, I think it was 7 weeks of emails from Mike Maloney, and that's unduly burdensome. So it's a shame that it continues, and this is kind of why, the sad thing about this, so this is when I got involved in 2017 to run, when Hastings and Vandenberg and Yunker, when they begged me and a couple other people to run, I wanted nothing to do with them. Then I decided to run, and then once I started questioning a contractor that Senator Hastings' mother used at the Orland Township, then they ostracized me because Yunker and Vandenberg tried giving the same person a firehouse contract on 167th Street. They forced staff to open a sealed bid. Then Trustee Brady and I wanted a different company to be considered. They were trying to force employees to hire their friend. One individual, he was assistant village manager, quit. He then moved to Texas because he wanted nothing to do with it. It's unfortunate. And then that committee, because that committee deemed they're not qualified to make the next round of 6. The problem that Hastings and Rita, in my opinion, are involved is because we can't be bought. And it's just unfortunate that this is why we're having so many problems. I appreciate our board for being non-political and doing the right thing and letting our staff pick contractors and not get involved in contractors. And the situation with Maloney, the situation with using non-union contractors is the reason why Mike Maloney and Rita and Hastings and I think it's Ruben Eric, whatever it is, shouldn't be involved in contractors. Staff should be doing their own jobs and picking the best qualified contractors. State officials should not be picking contractors. So that's it for that. Next,
Mr. Mayor, can I?
I just have one last comment.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't have it all prepared. Next week, or next board meeting, I'll be talking about 3 vehicles that Orland Township Supervisor brought to Rubino's attention when he became Highway Department Commissioner. I think that's the correct title, right, Bill?
Yes.
Bought 3 vehicles from Blue Island that don't even run and work, according to Paul O'Grady. And then all of a sudden, those vehicles disappeared. Next thing you know, then he opens up a company called Hunter Landscaping. Has several companies that go to a P.O. box at the Tinley Park Post Office. So we'll be talking about Hunter Landscaping and that next. And the 3 vehicles from Blue Island that don't run. Go ahead, Ken.
So I just wanted to make a couple of comments here, primarily to, so that you're not kind of just hanging out there on your own on this with what you just presented.
Thank you.
To me, it's important to ask the question of why does any of this matter, what you just said. We've heard a lot of things out there in public from certain state senators and other people. And this is, in my view, this is not sour grapes. And then the comment about having, adults in the room is ridiculous. Everything that you just highlighted illustrates and supports why having any entity other than the village run a project of this scope and scale is foolish. And what we're seeing from all of this, given that through the Illinois State Legislature, they rammed through the sale of this, and they rammed through legislation that stripped the village of any power to oversee or have any zoning authority or anything on that property. And this is something that I think a lot of the public is just not even aware of. The village has zero control over anything that's happening out there. And what we're seeing from this is little to no oversight, accountability, or transparency from that project. And this affects people of this village. So why does this matter? For all of those reasons. All this activities happening within the corporate limits of the village, and it affects the people of this village, but we have zero input, oversight, or anything on that. I'll switch, and I'm going to explain that in my professional job, I'm an auditor. I'm credentialed as a certified internal auditor and a certified fraud examiner. And that's important because professionally, I have conducted investigations and audits of exactly this type of activity. And the documentation that you showed there would not pass muster from any professional firm that was looking at this. That would be inadequate and insufficient to support the expenditures. And we use a term, red flag. That is a red flag right there, every single one of those. And in terms of a public board exercising their governance responsibility, they're failing. So they're spending money to pay somebody with little to no support for what they're spending the money on. We've said many times over, every time we have a meeting and we're authorizing payment, millions of dollars usually, in our packet is ridiculous amounts of support for that. Hundreds of pages for every expenditure. Whenever a bid comes up, John and every other department head is giving us dozens and dozens of pages to support the expenditures. This sort of thing is exactly why the village has a professional staff and has an experienced governing board here to exercise our responsibility to oversee these things and to guarantee that there's transparency for the public. One last point on here, the village's external financial auditor, as we all know here, does inquiries of the staff, of management, and of the board, specifically asking about what the internal controls are all throughout the village for financial and operational controls. And in particular, they have a fraud questionnaire asking what controls are in place and what we might know about it, and asking for opinion about whether or not the board and management is doing their job. As another public board, I have to wonder what that park district's financial auditors think of this. I could not, again, as a professional, I could not see any financial auditor looking at that and thinking that it's acceptable. So, anyway, I wanted to go on a little bit because I felt like you presented a lot of stuff, and I wanted to make sure that I go on record supporting it and explaining, this is, because we're gonna hear it, oh, that's just sour grapes, right? It's not sour grapes.
It's about fraud.
It's responsibility, and it's about calling out something that's inappropriate and explaining why.
What,
Thank you.
Ken, speaking of fraud, you made me think of something also. Anyone wants to, you should FOIA the employment contract of Mike Maloney. In my opinion, he's a complete fraud. Because in his employment contract, he's not allowed to get paid any money or be hired by the Tinley Park Park District until they own the property. Go to one of their meetings and let them talk about, we've only owned the property for X amount of days. Well, he forgets that in his employment contract, he's not supposed to be hired or paid. His 3 Gs a week is $11,250 per month unless they own the property. So which is it, Mike Maloney? You have a contract, you're not supposed to get paid, but you're getting paid, but you didn't own the property. So which is it? You can't have your cake and eat it too, but unfortunately with these guys, they want their cake and they want to eat it too. So, anywho, and then, first meeting in February, we'll be talking about Senator Hastings' campaign expenditures, so. Anything else?
No?
Okay.
Looking forward to hearing about these trucks.
You want to hear about what?
These trucks?
His expenditures?
The trucks.
Yeah. Do we have executive session?
Can we do public comment?
I'm sorry, well, yeah. A or B are we gonna have? Okay. Item 16, are there any comments from the public? Can you step up? Yeah, can you step up? Talk about Hunter Landscaping.
And I'm not here to complain about it, it's a question about it. I live in Brookside Glen, and there's a lot of seniors here, and we see paramedics quite often. What I'm trying to find out is there a way that we can make it easier for the paramedics to get in there. Because if there's a lot of single people, if they don't have their phone or their landline, how can they answer the call button when the paramedics come? I know we have a box in our building for the fire department, but we have nothing for the paramedics to make it easier. Is there something we can do?
You're saying getting access into the
Inside,
individual?
inside
The
the
boxes
door.
are the boxes are to get into the building, but not into the individual units.
No, what I'm saying, we have a buzzer com, or you have a key or a code to get in the front door. I'm saying, is there some way we can set a code or a key or something that they don't have to buzz? If a person's individual, they're laying on the floor, they had a stroke or heart attack, maybe they can't reach it. And there is quite a few single individuals. What I'm saying, is there something that we can do to make it easier on the paramedics, that they don't have to rely on somebody letting them in
Right.
or opening the door?
I think that I could probably talk to you, off record, and then if you can give Lisa your phone number, and I'll call you tomorrow, is that okay?
Yeah, that's
And There's
fine.
a couple things we could talk about to,
Do you want to tell me, or do you want to give it to our S&P management?
well, I'll talk to you first, and then I can give you some ideas, and then we could get together about
Be-
that.
Because I think that you're out there a lot, and I don't think anybody in this room would deny it, either will the police, because there is a lot of older people. But I'm thinking, there's too many times they're getting to be more and more one person. So if you don't have a landline, or you can't reach your cell phone, how are you gonna let these people in?
There's a couple-
And that time that you wasted can be
Right, you're exactly right.
bad news.
Would you mind leaving your phone
No,
number?
I
and
have
then
no
we'll-
problem doing that.
Right.
But I feel I had to come and address it because I don't know if anybody out there has ever gave that any thought. But most of the people are seniors, so I thought it'd be my duty to try to help everybody out. Because you never know when it's your turn to call 911.
Correct. Thank you.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great way to look out for your neighbors.
Thank you. Are there any other public comment? Let the record reflect there are none. Item 17, can I have a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss, A, the sale or purchase of securities, investments, or investment contracts?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Roll call for item 17, trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Mueller?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Sullivan?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion. Oh,
Wait, we don't, we're adjourned.
Exactly. Motion, I didn't see adjourn in there. All right, we will not be coming back. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Forgot I had the word adjourn.